Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to learn how to make homemade wine. Making wine at home can be a fun and rewarding process, though it requires some patience and attention to detail. Here's a simplified version of the steps involved in making wine from grapes, though these principles apply broadly to making wine from other fruits too. Basic equipment needed: 1. Fermentation vessel like a glass or food-grade plastic carboy or bucket. 2. Hydrometer to measure sugar levels, optional. 3. Airlock to allow gases to escape during fermentation while keeping contaminants out. 4. Siphoning tube for transferring wine between vessels. 5. Bottles and corks or caps for storing the finished wine. 6. Sanitizing solution, very important to prevent infections. 7. Crushing and pressing equipment if using whole grapes. 8. Grape juice or crushed fruit, can also use store-bought juice, but freshly harvested grapes give the best results. Ingredients: fresh grapes or fruit of your choice, depending on the type of wine you want to make. Sugar, if the natural sugar content of the fruit is not enough. Yeast, wine yeast strains like Lalvin, EC1118, Red Star, or others. Campden tablets, optional for sterilizing the fruit and killing wild yeast. Acid blend, optional for balancing the acidity of the wine. Tannin, optional especially for red wines. Steps: preparation. Sterilize your equipment. Everything that touches the wine, from the fermentation vessel to your bottles, must be sanitized to prevent any unwanted bacteria or wild yeasts from contaminating your wine. If you're using fresh grapes, pick them when they are fully ripe. Remove any stems, leaves, and damaged fruit. For other fruits like berries, remove seeds or pits if necessary. Crush the grapes or other fruits to release their juice. You can do this manually by hand or use a fruit crusher or press. If you're making red wine, leave the skins in contact with the juice for a period to extract color and tannins. Measure the sugar level. If your fruit doesn't have enough sugar, use a hydrometer to measure. You may need to add sugar. A typical starting sugar content for most wines is around 22 to 24 brix, which is equivalent to 10 to 12% alcohol. If needed, adjust the acidity by adding an acid blend, such as citric acid, tartaric acid, or malic acid. You can also add Campden tablets at this stage. Just follow the instructions on the package to kill any wild yeasts or bacteria and prevent spoilage. Let it sit for 24 hours after adding Campden. 5. Add the yeast. After letting the must sit for a day, if you used Campden tablets, sprinkle your chosen wine yeast onto the surface of the must. Stir gently to mix. Yeast will begin fermentation within 24 to 48 hours. 6. Fermentation. Primary fermentation. Leave the must in your fermentation vessel with an airlock. For red wines, you'll want to punch down the cap, which is the skin and pulp that floats to the top, a few times a day to keep it submerged. Secondary fermentation. After about 5 to 7 days, or when fermentation slows down, siphon the liquid into another clean fermentation vessel, leaving the sediment behind. Attach an airlock and let the wine ferment for several weeks to several months, depending on the type of wine you're making. 7. Racking the wine. Every few weeks, siphon the wine off the sediment, called lees, into a clean vessel to avoid any off flavors developing. This is called racking. Wine can age for several months to develop its flavors. You'll want to rack it every few weeks during this period. For some wines, like reds, aging can take several months to a year. You may choose to clarify your wine using fining agents like bentonite or isinglass. This is optional but can help clear up any remaining haze. Once the wine is clear, stable, no longer fermenting, and the flavors have developed, it's time to bottle. Make sure everything is sanitized again before bottling. Siphon the wine into sterilized bottles, leaving some headspace, and cork them. You can age the wine further in bottles if you like. After bottling, let your wine age for at least a few weeks. Some wines, like reds, can be aged for years, but most wines are ready to drink in 1 to 6 months. Fermentation temperature. Ideally, the fermentation should take place in a cool environment, between 60 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit, or 15 to 24 degrees Celsius. Too high a temperature can cause the wine to ferment too quickly and lead to undesirable flavors. Patience is key. Wine takes time, so don't rush the process. Every step counts in the final flavor and quality of your wine. With practice, you can start experimenting with different fruits, sugar levels, and yeasts to find the perfect wine for your taste. For some suggested winemaking do-it-yourself kits, look in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.